Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic, host of Bachelor Nation News and the Victoria Fuller Fan Club. Now, look, we're going to get into this story. We've been breaking it down like it's an IKEA bookshelf. We can't get out the front door. You ever move and you're like, how do we get this thing in there? You built it in your living room. You got to break it down to sawdust, and then you got to sell it to some kid on Craigslist for $3. All right, I never got a shot, is what Victoria Fuller says, with her relationship with Johnny in the after show. She never got a shot to properly explain herself. She didn't like how the mudslinging took place. We're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. We had a boatload of recaps, and people might say, Dave, you're obsessed. Get over it. To which I reply, welcome to the news, folks. Let's get into it. No, I mean, look, there's so much to talk about. We're only 60 minutes into an hour and a half conversation, so we're just going to keep breaking it down slowly and surely. I wanted to shout out Michelle and her friends for coming to my stand-up show last night. I have a couple more shows in New York City tonight, 7 p.m. West Side Comedy Club. We'll be going out for a few warm or cold drinks afterwards. And tomorrow night, I've got a couple shows as well. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals, patreon.com/Dave Neal. If you can't watch those shows and want to see me share the video of that, you can see it on patreon.com/Dave Neal. Here's my view. Look at this. You guys, I'm not kidding around. I am in the mobile studio. This is my view from Chelsea. If you look real closely in there, you can see the, oh, that's a beautiful shot right there of Lady Liberty. And of course, the Freedom Tower. No one can take our freedom, but for $400 a night, I'll pass on the prices of New York City. All right, let's get into it. So Victoria Fuller posts this, which is surprising. She says, I love you. That's surprising. I mean, what's today? December 1st? Today's December 1st, and she's in love with Greg Grippo, or at least says, I love you. He says, shut the front door and kiss me. And everyone else says, oh my gosh, so great. Andrew Spencer says, damn, we had a good run, brother. Of course, to the idea that he's no longer available because he's under her spell. So there they are doing their dang thing. All right, I'm going to share what Victoria had to say. And in the next video, we're going to talk about Nick's bias, which, again, I actually think Nick Viall is doing the best job he could considering this circumstance. The only better thing he could do is just not interview her altogether and say, I've got a bias, I'm not going to interview her, which I wouldn't do. I would interview my friends. You can be as tough as possible on them. But, it's probably one of those cases where a few questions were left on the cutting room floor. Either way, let's have a listen to what she has to say regarding how she was treated and where her relationship with Greg stands right now. Have a listen.
What did you want Johnny to take accountability for at the finale?
I just wanted Johnny to take accountability for the fact that our relationship was going downhill prior to Greg and I starting to talk. That's it. It was toxic.
For the people who thought that you came across cold to Johnny at the finale, when you walked out, what would you say to that?
I totally understand. And I could have handled myself so much better. And I look back and I regret that. But at the same time, I walked into a room where people were calling me a cheater or booing me. And so I walked into an entire audience that was already completely against me without even hearing my story and my side of things. They just wanted to believe him and to take his side. And I get it.
And at the same time, her response to everyone was, I don't give a F what you guys think. Look, she was kind of trolled by that audience in a way. If I was her PR person, I'd say, don't react to it. She gets baited to respond, and then she does. And look, hey, I get it. It's got to be tough. It's just one of those scenarios where you kind of have to take it on a chin. Because, and I say that because you'll come out looking better after that. The idea of protesting too much I'm not saying it makes her look guilty. I'm just saying she could have handled it with more grace, as we saw.
He's upset and he's sad, and I feel for him and I empathize with him. I just never got a fair shot walking out there.
It was awful. I was there. You can see Victoria look and smile because I was the one person to be like, woo!
Yes.
So the producer friends, the Nick's payroll, as we call them, that's their job, they were kind of criticized by some people in the comment section that said, I'm bummed how much Allie and Amanda were one-sided too. I usually turn to them for their great pushbacks and challenging, insightful commentary. Well, I mean, I don't know. Look, they're on Nick's payroll. Not to say that they can't think a certain way, but they've all seen this side of the story. Now, speaking of seeing a side of the story, I want to promote to you guys the project that my wife and I work on every year. It's called Vlogmas. Now, if you go to Tasha Courtney right here on YouTube and click on it, we're hosting Vlogmas on her channel this year. I'm not going to promise to make videos every day, but we've got a lot of content coming. This was just posted. Dave and Tasha test the new Peppermint Frosty. Yes, that's right. We're going to be doing Christmas-themed taste testing, the new Christmas products, new Christmas movies. If it's got Christmas in the title, I'm going to recap it. It's going to be, what's Victoria Fuller doing for Christmas? We're going to everything out there, so you can go check that out. We have an epic intro. Vlogmas 2022 with cassette decks, the whole 9 yards, Pez containers. You're going to absolutely love it. Link below. Do me a favor. At the end of this video, go give that a watch, a comment, a like. You're going to enjoy the Christmas season with us or whatever holiday you like. I don't care. Get your atheist friends over and watch us eat some peppermint flavored Frosties. I don't care.
Walked out.
I was like, hey.
I got you.
I was like, hey, girl.
Hey.
But I also think like the television element of this is so significant in terms of like, of course, you're going to be carefully choosing your words and like the cadence and the way that you're talking
Victoria carefully chose the way she told the audience to go F themselves.
is reflecting the fact that like anything you say will be aired on national television.
Right.
And so it probably feels like people are using that against you without actually taking into it like account the context you read.
Right.
When you snapped at Tyler, like what? Why?
I don't regret that. I regret a lot of things
Whoa.
that night, but I do not regret that.
Also, it
What was
wasn't
going
the
on?
first time he interjected.
No,
that was
he-
like the fourth time he'd done that.
Right. He kept chiming in to a situation that he has no idea about,
Like me.
and
What was he saying?
I don't know. I wouldn't let him get in there.
You know what he was saying. He was calling you a cheater. That's what Tyler was doing. He was hammering in the point that he wasn't going to let her get away with the wrongs he felt she had committed to his buddy.
But it's none of his business. It was between Johnny and I, and we were having a conversation.
But here's the thing. I sort of agree with her that it's none of his business, but at the same time, it's very hard to prosecute your own point. It's like when you go to court, you're supposed to have an attorney. They just do a better job. And it's better for one of your friends to stick up for you than, like, Johnny can't stand up there and call her a cheater. Not in the way that a friend could. So it's one of those, like, you have your friends do the dirty work for you. I'm not saying it's always great, but that's kind of how it works. Like, your friends are willing to stick up for you in ways that you possibly can't. And so much so that if we look here, I'm just going to go right now because I wasn't planning to talk about this. But if we go to bachelornation.scoop here, hold on, we have very expensive Hyatt internet. Bachelornation.scoop here. They compiled, I'm assuming they compiled this because it was so good. They compiled what some of Johnny's friends had been saying, and we're going to cover some of the criticisms they're paying towards Nick. But look at Colin Farrell, the Colin Farrell here. He captioned this. Next step, matching tattoos with him hugging Johnny. And then after that, meet me in Rome, ? All roads lead to Rome. Point being, your friends can get away with saying more than you can when it comes to spats, as they were.
And Johnny did actually try to like speak up and be like, okay, Tyler, like, relax. But it was none of his fucking business.
Whoa.
Like, I'm having a conversation with somebody who I was in a relationship. Tyler, we weren't in a 3-way. Okay, buddy? So stay the fuck out.
Whoa.
I hear you. Let's talk about you
Wow.
two.
Ugh, okay, let's
All right, the conversation shifts to the convo between Greg Grippo and Victoria Fuller's relationship.
What's different about this relationship? You
Good
guys
question.
seem excited about each other.
They both say they've been in a ton of toxic relationships. Well, clearly this is going to go perfectly fine. That's like saying, well, I've blown off 7 of my fingers playing with fireworks, but let's try this firework. I've
Why
got
is
3
this
fingers.
working? You guys are obviously moving fast. You have matching tattoos. You went to Rome.
Chabella.
Why do you feel more confident about your relationship with Greg, despite it moving very quickly, more so than your relationship with Johnny? Or any other relationship that you had, I guess.
Yeah, I think what has been the most telling about Greg and I's relationship is the way that he's handled this entire situation.
Victoria's like, in the 13 days that we've known each other, 12 of those days he's been perfect. He was cranky one of those days, but 12 out of 13 ain't bad in my book.
From start to finish. He's been patient. He's been understanding. He never pushed anything. He's always just been so supportive of me. And he's had my back 1000% of the time. And I just couldn't ask for a better partner in it. He just truly, I don't know, he's just been so great. And also, too, we just are very open and honest with one another. The way we communicate, the way that we fight, because everyone fights, right? But
And this is where a lot of people had a point of concern where they go, yeah, everyone fights, but in your first 13 days, do you fight? And look, I get it. You know, when you start dating, you're trying to feel each other out, metaphorically speaking, consensually, and you're trying to figure out like, oh, that's the trigger. That you don't like that. You don't like it when we do it. You know, it's a give and take. So I guess it depends on what kind of fights they're talking about, but. You know, with some, I guess, and hey, look, to give Victoria full credit here, she might just be the type of personality that 99 out of 100 guys couldn't date her, but one guy's perfect for her, and that might be Greg. I always say that about my wife. I mean, golly, Tasha, right? Some of these guys couldn't hang with Tasha. They would not last a second with this lovely lady, but boy, do we have the cheat codes to success, right, lady? All right, she's waiting for me.
we don't call each other names. We don't scream at each other. We are like, okay, where is this actually coming from? Why are you upset? It's more of a conversation, an open conversation versus like, he said, she said, you did this, I did, like.
It's almost like Greg is the rudder on her ship of progress, emotionally speaking. Hey, good for them. We got a few more pieces of content coming your way. Next video, we're going to talk about Nick's bias, some of the comments that people are leaving and not liking the way he conducted this interview. I honestly, when it comes to the technical aspects of what Nick does, I generally find myself complimenting him. I do. You know, like I said before, there were some questions he probably could have pushed back on or asked more of. But, you know, for a guy that, I don't know, for a guy who's from a dating reality show, I think he does a pretty decent job. I know sometimes, you know, in order for me to criticize people, I got to also look at the positives. We got to look at that in all situations. And people said, oh, Dave, you've got a bias against Victoria. Sure. We've got a nice long timeline of Victoria being a mess, but it doesn't mean she can't improve and be a better version of herself. Aren't we all trying to do that? Be a better version of yourself and watch Vlogmas. There'll be a link right over there, and you can click on it and check it out right now. We'll see you in a little bit. Bye, everybody.